Welcome to our final webinar of the NOS Mentoring program. What I'd like to do is talk about relationship building. Relationship building is of paramount between the mentor and the mentee, and all through the relationship this should be built upon. Positive relationships provides vitality, encouragement, trust. It facilitates positive collaboration and outcomes, and that's what you as the mentor want to have continuously with the mentee, whether it's day one of the relationship where you're trying to build up that rapport, or whether it's the last day of the relationship whereby you are reviewing and talking to each other about how the actual mentor-mentee relationship went. Whenever you are in this relationship building phase, it's important to be able to insulate against discord, conflict and resistance. And when we talk about this relationship building and building this rapport, we've got to talk about promoting effective and collaborative problem solving. Even though you are in this relationship, there has to be difficult conversations at times. There has to be the critical friend scenario occur, and this all establishes a strong relationship. Positive mentoring relationships are not automatic and require great effort from both parties. It just doesn't happen. Both parties have to make a commitment to the relationship and continually build on it throughout the relationship. I did use the term rapport as part of this relationship building. Developing rapport results in trust, comfort, and openness. And that's what we're aiming towards in this mentor-mentee relationship. And it can be categorized by having a strong, robust agreement, having cooperation, and having harmony. And again, this underpins how well the mentor-mentee relationship will occur. The rapport must be shaped and nurtured continually. Now, the responsibility of the mentors in this relationship building phase is to be empathetic and promote acceptance. Try to sense and understand the mentee's emotions and perspective. You are not always going to get a mentee that's going to come in and be really happy and on top of things. They're going to have performances whereby things haven't occurred properly for them. We're going to have situations where they haven't performed at the highest level. They've been highly criticised by their referees, coaches, and they may have also been highly criticised by their assessors. It's important to establish common ground. Identify the fundamental characteristics, interests, goals, and or concerns that you share with the mentee. You've got to be able to have this common ground, and most of that occurs between the official and scholarship holder when it comes to the experiences that you as the mentor have had, and that you can share those experiences with the scholarship official. It's really important to turn around and say, look, I've been in this situation. This is what I did, and at that particular moment, I thought it was a good idea, but it wasn't. So from the experience that I have, I would suggest that you try this type of strategy to deal with it. So that common ground is basically what you both have in common. And a lot of that comes from the actual experiences that you've had on the field, on the court, on the pool deck as officials. It is also important for you as the mentor to create an equal balance of power. It's interesting, this comment, because a lot of people sort of say, what does that mean? Well, naturally, when you talk about a mentor and a scholarship official dash mentee, there's an automatic imbalance of power. The mentor is perceived sometimes as the person that has all the knowledge and all the power, and the scholarship official is there who has a less amount of power. As the mentor building this relationship, you have to be able to equal that balance of power, behave in ways that equalise the relationship, and don't have the mentor sitting up on a pedestal. As we've mentioned before, some scholarship officials come into the program and they automatically put you as the mentor on a pedestal, especially if you're an active official and officiating at the highest level. Your job is to equalise that balance of power so that we have this relationship that is open and honest. You've got to be able to demonstrate authenticity. What does that mean? You always have to endeavour to be straightforward, to the point and truthful. Okay? Just because we're building up this relationship doesn't mean that we can't, have the hard discussion if need be. And I've always said that mentors, when it comes to risk management, work health and safety, have to be exceptionally direct to their scholarship official and tell them that their actions weren't appropriate or their actions did not meet the minimum requirements. Outside of all that, I would encourage the use of strategic questioning, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. Okay, in all relationships, we have to plan for the tough conversations. Okay, it's you being the critical friend within the relationship. But again, if you know that you're going to be having a tough conversation with your scholarship official, you have to basically plan this well in advance. So in having a difficult conversation or the tough conversations, what outcome are you hoping to achieve in having the discussion? Most of that could be improvement in performance when it comes to the scholarship official. Have a guess or identify the emotions that the scholarship official may be feeling. They've probably had a couple of kicks from their referee's assessor and they're not feeling really well about it or feeling good about it at all. So be aware of the emotions that become the byproduct of the performance of the scholarship official, and you also could be in the firing line just because you're there and you've built up a really good rapport within the relationship building process. How would you start the conversation? And again, if you've been through all this, use these as reflection questions as well. How are you going to start the conversation? Are you going to start it with strategic questioning, getting the scholarship official to actually tell you what went wrong or what needs to improve or what would change in their next performance? What questions could you ask to challenge the assumptions and perceptions of what happened? What behaviours would you like to display? Given that it may be a very emotional time for the scholarship official, they may not have been given an appointment that they wanted. They may not have been given a finals berth as an official. And also in the back of your mind, what type of actions are you going to use to diffuse any type of conflict, given it won't be aimed at you, but it could be you could be part of the firing line of as being a byproduct of someone that they trust and have confidence in themselves. So don't just go into any tough conversations or difficult conversations not being prepared. Sometimes you get into situations where the scholarship official will come in and during the conversation, it evolves into a difficult conversation. At that particular moment, I think it's fair for you to turn around and get some reflection time or say, look, I just need to go and get a coffee, come back, and in that moment of getting a coffee, you've formulated your strategy in the path that you want to take the conversation. Now let's look at this example. This scenario is based on a mentor-mentee discussion. It's based in a coaching background, but it can translate very easily across to the officiating environment. So the mentee in this scenario is extremely confident, thinks he knows it all, wants to argue with the feedback from the mentor. The mentor has a lot of difficulty relating to the mentee. Now, in this situation, watching this video, I would like you to think about what you see the mentor doing, and if you were the mentor in this situation, what things would you do differently? So putting it in context, what do you think the mentor actually did well? What could the mentor have done better? And if you're in the situation, what would you have done? So let's have a look at the vision now.
Thanks, Andrew, for coming over this afternoon, mate. I know it was on your way home from training, so yeah, thank you. Now, I've been observing you over the last couple of weeks, and we agreed that that would happen. How do you think you've been going with your training sessions and your athletes?
I think they've been going perfect.
Okay, tell me why you believe that they're perfect.
I just feel that the type of plans I have in place, everyone's responding to perfectly, and I'm not getting any arguments or anything from anyone. It's going perfectly.
Okay, how are your athletes feeling about it?
I don't really know what their opinion is. I just know that I'm doing really well and the results are coming.
Okay. Have you thought about self-reflecting on what sessions that you've been delivering? Have you been able to videotape yourself or get some feedback?
I don't know why I'd have to videotape myself or get feedback if I'm going so well at the moment with my athletes.
Okay, yeah, all right. I always believe that a coach is on a continuum of learning, and the best way to continue your learning is to reflect upon your performance. And it's about you getting better as a coach, okay? And you want to strive to be a better coach, don't you?
I feel that I'm a very good coach at the moment, how I am.
Yeah. Look, I've observed some really positive things that have come out of your sessions. For example, the way that you organise your sessions, the plans that you've shown me prior to your sessions, the way you execute your sessions. Probably some of the things I have observed is the way you speak to your athletes. How do you feel when you're communicating with your athletes?
I feel that it's absolutely clear and the message that I need to say is coming across easily.
Okay. Do you feel like you're working within a team environment, or do you believe that you're the coach and whatever you say goes?
I'm the coach. I've been hired here to do a job, and that job is being done.
Mm-hmm. How are your senior players relating to that? Because you're a relatively young coach and you've got some athletes that are a lot older than you. How are they responding?
Well, they respond how they want. At the end of the day, if they want to be in my team, they're going to deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about developing a positive team environment. What do you know about that?
I honestly don't focus on creating that, to be honest. I focus on winning.
On winning, okay. So what happens when you're in a situation like 3 weeks ago when you actually didn't win? How do you respond as a coach to that, given that you've got very high expectation?
I just feel that if they didn't win, then they lost, and they should make that back the next tournament.
Okay. And what's the following training session like after a loss?
Lots of push-ups and lots of sprints.
Okay, so would you say that you actually punish your players?
Yes, definitely.
Do you think that that is a good way to go?
I think it's been working for me since I became a coach.
Okay. Tell me how many years you've been coaching now?
About 7.
About 7. Okay. What I'd like to do, Andrew, is basically set in place probably a couple of reflective questions that I'd like you to use at the end of your next training session, because what I'd like to do is try and assist you with my 23 years of coaching experience to get you to become a better coach. Now, I'm a firm believer that when you think you know it all, then it's time to give it away. And what I want you to do is reflect upon you being a student and continually learning to succeed. Because at the moment, you know, your players are responding, you believe are responding to you. But what I want to do is I want to improve you as a coach 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years down the track. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to email you tonight a reflection sheet for you to have a look at and possibly use at the end of each session. And that can be the stimulus document for us to use in future meetings. Are you happy to do that?
I think I'll give it a go.
Good. That's great, mate. So what we might do is, when would you like to meet again? 1 or 2 weeks?
2 weeks is fine.
2 weeks is fine. Okay. Well, are you happy for me to come down and observe one of those sessions in the next 2 weeks?
Yes.
Yep. And then we can use your reflection sheet as probably the start of our next meeting.
Yep.
All right. Thanks, Andrew. Thanks for your time.
He was quite a confident mentee, wasn't he? He was very confident and very determined. So what did you think? What did the mentor do well? Well, I think first of all, the mentor didn't lose his temper in the situation. The mentee coach was very confrontational. The mentor a couple of times asserted himself, what I call a couple of quick little snaps across the nose about years of experience, etc. He kept his patience. But again, how do you think the relationship will pan out? You could see that the mentor was getting a little frustrated because the mentee coach was so confident and so assertive in the situation. His whole coaching world was about him and not his actual players. The key thing is, what would you have done in that situation? Maybe it was a little extreme, the actual scenario, but the point was, how would you, as a mentor, deal with a scholarship official that was very confident, very determined, and really didn't want to listen to you, but you were both thrusted into this relationship? I think if this relationship continued, there would have had to be some behavioural change by the actual mentee coach. If not, I think the mentor coach would actually call the relationship and go, look, this is not working. I think that for whatever reason, we don't have a lot of things in common. I'm finding it very difficult building a relationship and developing a rapport with you. So I think in the best interests of your personal development as a mentee coach, we may have to get another mentor for you. And sometimes that does happen. It's not the fault of the mentee or the scholarship official. It's not the fault of the mentor. It's the fault of the relationship that both two parties just can't gel. And if you're in a situation where that has occurred or is occurring, it's up to you to call it. Okay? Call it early in the best interests of both parties. Because you as a mentor only have a certain amount of time and allocation and investment into a mentee. Your best bet is to find another mentee and invest in there. And the scholarship official mentee only has a certain amount of time within their performance lifetime. So they may be better off with another mentor. So never be afraid to call it early after you've gone through a process, after contacting your national sporting organisation or the Sports Commission coordinators of the National Officiating Scholarships. This is one of the most important strategies that you require as an effective mentor. I go on about this day in, day out, about the use of strategic questioning within the mentoring relationship. As officials, as coach officials, as even coaches within sport, we use a lot of time, or we use a lot of our time in telling. Because we're always battling time, we're used to turning around and telling people what they need to do, what they've done wrong. We need to flip out of that mentality and talk about strategic questioning. To me, it's the key to effective mentoring, the preparation, implementation of key strategic questions for the scholarship official mentee. I think using questioning to allow the scholarship official to analyse and reflect upon their own thoughts and performances is a lot stronger than telling them. And that's the last point I've got there. Questioning is by far a better strategy than telling them. I believe that if we use strategic questioning effectively, we can actually get the scholarship official to tell us what needs to improve, what they need to do better, what commitment to training needs to change. Because what we want to do within this strategic questioning environment is change parts of performances or change behaviour. And in doing both of that, we need to have ownership by the scholarship official. And we've all been in situations where we've been told things and told things and told. But what I'm saying is we've got to create an ownership of behavioural change within the scholarship official by getting them to analyse and critique themselves through effective strategic questioning. And these strategic questions can't be developed on the way to the meeting with the scholarship official. You have to be able to sit down and work out what you need the scholarship official to do, and then re-engineer questions back and develop questions that will assist the scholarship official in their reflection. And again, it's open-ended questions. And one really good question to use, and I've used this over a number of cases, is if you were to do that performance again, what would you do differently? And using that type of question, we can't get a yes or no. So I would challenge all of you as mentors to get a battery of strategic questions that you use and will use in the future. And that will assist you in being able to develop specific questions from the general questions that you have developed when it comes to the scholarship official that you're working with. So going back to talk about building rapport and building relationships, what I want you to do is think about these questions either in the context that you're about to build rapport or you have been building rapport over the last few months. Okay, so how would you approach the following? How will you build rapport? How will you build trust and empathy with your scholarship official? And a subsequent question to that is, how are you maintaining the rapport, the trust and the empathy with your scholarship official? Have you identified the needs and set goals for your scholarship official? Are you continually reviewing these as the year or the time that you're together is continuing? What about the ground rules for the relationship? How are they going? Did you set strong ones? Are you setting strong ones? Are you referring back to the ground rules? People go, well, what's a ground rule? Well, the ground rule is how does the scholarship official like to receive feedback? How did the agreement go? When you develop the agreement or in the process of developing an agreement, how is that going? Are they measurable goals? Are they achievable goals? Sometimes you find when you're developing an agreement, the scholarship official wants to achieve a lot in a small amount of time. How do you manage that? How have you managed that? So remember, it's about any type of relationship within the NOS program is about basing it upon the original agreement, the initial agreement that you make, and the constant review of the agreement. So my challenge to the mentors out there who are presently in this situation of mentoring a scholarship official, when was the last time you referred back to the original agreement that was set at the beginning of the program? And how are you tracking against that agreement? So we've got to our summary now. A successful mentoring relationship is reflected by good rapport between the mentor and the scholarship official. We've talked about trust and confidentiality right through our webinar series. How is that going? We have demonstrated interest and enthusiasm, and that's on both parties, both the mentor and the scholarship official. It's not necessarily that every time you meet, everyone's happy and enthusiastic and everything's great, because that won't happen, not every time. We've got to have the clear objectives and goals, and that's got to be continuous through any type of mentor scholarship official relationship. The mutual respect not only has to be there, but it has to grow over the duration of the relationship. We have to have clear communication and feedback, and the mentor has to be a critical friend. Also remembering the concept that the mentor is playing the general practitioner doctor, in the sense that the mentor or the GP is looking at the holistic development of the scholarship official. And if required, they need to refer them to specialists if the actual scholarship official needs specific assistance in certain parts of their officiating or certain areas of their officiating. Now, as we've discussed before, the physical environment for meetings have to be conducive to effective communication, so they have to be comfortable. It's very difficult as a mentor to give feedback in a dressing room or a meeting room straight after a performance, when you've got people moving in and out all the time, getting ready for the next game or the next round or the next competition. Continue to have a development of reciprocity. Remember, we use the word reciprocity. So it's reciprocal. Both the mentor and scholarship official have to get something out of the environment, have to get something out of the relationship. It has to be of mutual benefit to both parties. There has to be some fun and enjoyment in doing it. Again, from the mentor and the scholarship official. And the mentor has to have some feeling of achievement from the investment that they're putting into the scholarship official. As we've mentioned, the mentors aren't getting paid thousands upon thousands of dollars to do this. They do it because they want to invest in the next generation of officials coming through their system. There has to be acknowledgement and celebration of achievements. So when performance go exceptionally well for a scholarship official, or whether a scholarship official has been appointed to high-end events, there has to be some form of celebration and acknowledgement that this has been achieved. Other people within the system have to be aware and supportive of the mentoring relationship. There's no use having a very strong mentor-scholarship official relationship and you've got people in the background of the sport working against that. And you might turn around and go, that doesn't happen in my sport. Well, I can give you examples where it has happened in other sports, where there are other people that are undermining the system. And that doesn't help for a conducive environment. The mentor has to be able to identify if any of that undermining is occurring and develop intervention strategies to try and decrease or stop that as soon as they can. We must remember that the mentoring relationship enhances the scholarship official's education process and competencies. The whole idea of the NOS program is to improve the level of officiating of the scholarship official. And they've been identified as the next best thing coming through their sports programs. So we want to increase their competencies, we want to increase their education, we want to increase their performances. Effective mentors facilitate learning, therefore assist the mentee on their continuum of learning. We've talked about this continuum of learning. The scholarship official is on this continuum of learning, and it is the mentor that assists in the facilitation of that over the scholarship year. Taking the time to set up the mentoring relationship at the start is very important for its long-term success, and also continually investing that over the period of the mentoring or the scholarship program or the mentoring relationship, because sometimes the mentoring relationship continues on after the scholarship is actually over, which is fantastic. Providing effective and constructive feedback is a critical skill for all mentors. You can't be the world's best friend all the time. Your job is to provide or assist in providing or facilitating an environment where the scholarship official can either reflect and give themselves constructive feedback with your support, or whereby you have to give them constructive feedback as a critical friend in certain circumstances. Now, a final thought for the whole webinar series. All 4 series are now finished. So this is the thought that I'd like to leave you with. Behind every successful person, there is one elementary truth. Somewhere, somehow, someone cared about their growth and development. This person was their mentor. This person is you as the mentor within the National Officiating Scholarship Program. So are you the person that has helped progress a successful person through your National Sporting Organisation's program, officiating program? Remember, behind every successful person, there is one elementary truth. Somewhere, somehow, someone cared about their growth and development, and this person was you, the mentor. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're down to our final slide now. So, if you require any further assistance on mentoring or set up a mentoring program, please contact Ash Sinnott, and there's Ash's email, or myself, and my email is there also. And don't be afraid to do that. I mean, you may wish as a mentor to continually develop your skills, or you've decided that it's time that your sport put in a mentoring program on a state-based level. Yeah, please contact one of us and we'll be able to give you some assistance. Okay, now from this point onwards, we've now finished the four webinars within our series of mentor training. There is a requirement now that each of you as mentors complete the 20 questions, which are multiple choice questions, and there will be information appearing at the bottom of this page whereby you will either do the questions or you'll click on a link. Within that process, we're looking at a 100% pass mark, and basically you'll be told whether the response you give is correct or incorrect. And from that point, you'll have an opportunity to redo the questions until you get to a point where there is a 100% success rate. Once you complete those 20 multiple choice questions successfully and get the 100% pass mark, you'll then be instructed to download your mentoring certificate, which is issued by the Australian Sports Commission through the NOS program. That is the process from this point. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of you mentors. Working with you has been great. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Peter Downs for his assistance with these webinars and the support of the Australian Sports Commission through Ash Sinnott and Ben Kirk for supporting this idea of engaging the mentors through a formal education process. I'd like to wish you all the best for the future. I'd like to wish you happy mentoring, and I hope that you will continue to feel success and enthusiasm for your mentoring in the future. Thank you very much.